Welcome guys for commerce subject of UGC NET, which is code 08. Today we will do detailed analysis of June 2021 paper. So we'll do question by question, all 100 questions of the paper. So this paper was conducted across 3 shifts in June 2021. So this is the paper of evening shift of 25th of November 2021. So second shift which was conducted on 25th of November 2021. So guys, before we start with the question by question analysis where we'll do all 100 questions of paper 2, I want to share 3 things with you. Number 1, so this video is on detailed analysis question by question, but if you want to get overall picture of the paper, for example, what is trend of cutoff, what is the difficulty level, what you can learn from this paper, what are the learnings which can be used in 2022 attempt, what is weightage of different topics in the paper. For all these things, there is another video which we have published on the YouTube. So the link to that video is also given in the description below. Then if you want to understand how you can prepare with Human Peritus, then there is another link given in the description below. That link will take you to our website. So on that page you can understand how you can prepare for code 08 commerce with Human Peritus. You'll be able to look at some demo classes to understand how we teach in these live classes. You can look at sample content. You can also go through interviews of some of the toppers which we have cracked, which who have cracked the exam in previous years, to understand how they have done it. And finally, there is another link in the description below. So if you click on that link, that will connect you with our team directly via WhatsApp. So anything on your mind, you can share with us, you can agree with us, you can disagree with us. Anything on your mind, feel free to let us know. Let us get started. What is value of a levered firm L if it has the same EBIT as an unlevered firm U with value of 700 lakhs, has a debt of 200 lakhs, and tax rate is 35% among MM approach. So this is a case of MM model but with taxes. Because it's MM model with taxes, so value of levered firm will be given by value of unlevered firm plus debt into tax rate. We can put up these values. This is what 700, this is what 200, this is what 0.35. Multiply them, you will get 700 plus 70, which is 770, and correct answer is 3. Next one. Is a percentage discount rate used in capital budgeting appraisal which brings cost of a project and future cash flows into equality. This is IRR, internal rate of return. So guys, IRR is that rate which makes your NPV is equal to 0. It means your all discounted cash flow, cash inflows are equal to discounted cash outflows, which is given in this question. Answer is 2. Next one. If each value of a given set of data is divided by 4, what will be the effect on Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness? How do you find Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness? It is given by mean minus mode divided by standard deviation. So if each value is divided by 4, then what will happen, guys? If each value is divided by 4, then your mean also will get divided by 4. Mode also will get divided by 4. So effectively your numerator will also get divided by 4. Now look, what about standard deviation? Again, standard deviation is independent of origin, but it is not independent of scale. It means what? That if each value is multiplied or divided by a number k, then your standard deviation will also change by the same number. So your denominator will also get divided by 4 effectively. So in a way, what will happen? Although numerator both, they will change, but the effect will cancel out, and effectively what will happen, that there will be no change in the coefficient of skewness value. Next one. A coin and a pair of dice are tossed together. What is the possible number out? So coin can be what? Head or tail only. So there are 2 options. Pair of dice is what? So there are 2 dice. Each dice can have 6 outcomes. Sorry, there are 2 dice. Each dice can have 6 outcomes. So 6 into 6. 36 outcomes can be there. So total can be 2 into 36, 72 outcomes. Answer is 2. Next one. If each value of a series is decreased by k, then which of the following does not hold true? Quartile deviation does not change. What is quartile deviation, guys? Quartile deviation is given by what? Quartile deviation. So this first one, let me discuss it here. So quartile deviation is given by third quartile minus first quartile divided by 2. Okay. If each value is decreased by k, okay, then your q1 and q3 will also get decreased by k, but you have to see the difference will not change, so therefore there will be no impact. There'll be no impact. So quartile deviation does not change, and this statement is right. Okay. Next one. The coefficient of quartile deviation remain unchanged. What is coefficient of quartile deviation? How do we find it? We find it by q3 minus q1 divided by q3 plus q1. Now in this case, guys, what will happen? So each value is decreased by k, so difference will not change, so no change in the numerator, but because each value is decreased by k and q3 and q will add up. So by the way, it's very, very simple. If there are two values 6 and 7, right, what is their sum? 13. If I subtract 2 from each of them, 4 and 5, what is their sum? 9. So sum will change, difference will not change, but sum will change, so denominator will have a change. Therefore coefficient of quartile deviation will change, and therefore this statement that coefficient of quartile deviation remain unchanged is wrong statement. It is not true. Next one. So let us look at this last one. Quartile coefficient of dispersion rises. So quartile coefficient of dispersion is nothing but coefficient of quartile deviation only. So will it increase? Yes, because q3 and q1 are decreased by k. Overall the value will become lower. See, it is become 9 from 13, right? So the value will become lower because denominator will become lower, so overall value become higher, and therefore it rises. Yes, statement 4th is correct. Now third is left. What is third? Lower and upper quartile increases by k. Lower and upper quartile. So guys, this statement is also wrong. So lower and upper quartile should decrease by k, because both of them are. So what is lower quartile? q1 is lower quartile and q3 is upper quartile. So both of them will also decrease by k. So this statement is also wrong, although in the official answer key only 2 is given as answer, but 3 will also be a wrong statement, guys, mind it. So this is a mistake which NTA has committed. I hope they have accepted this in the answer key. And yeah, so what is q1, q3, q4? Although this is not teaching class, so you arrange all data in ascending order. So your first data point is q0, last data point is q100, middle data point is q2, at 25th percentile it is q1, and this is q3. This is nothing but median only. For binomial distribution, what is mean and variance for binomial distribution? So for binomial, mean is given by NP and your variance is given by NPQ. Variance is given by NPQ. So Q is given, so I can find out my P, which is 1 minus Q. 1 minus 0.7, this is 0.3. Now just put up the values. 3 into 0.3, which will be 9, and this will be 30 into 0.3 into 0.7, which will become 6.3. Therefore correct answer is 3. Which one of the following is not a characteristics of a mutual fund? Strong fund management, very nice. Consistent investment process, yes, this is also there. Then what else? Differences from benchmark, yes, this will be also there. Differences from benchmark rates like Sensex and Nifty. Will there be diversity in interest rate of a mutual fund? Of course no. Therefore correct answer is 3. Although quite poorly framed question, but anyway, answer key 3 is the answer. Next one. Which of the following statement is false? The capital market is a market for medium and long-term fund. Very nice. Let's look at third one. Many publicly listed companies in India trade their share through Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Securities that are listed are known as listed securities. Of course, this is also true. Now only option which is left is GDR. So guys, what is GDR? Let us understand it. So for example, there is an Indian company, and if Indian company wants to raise equity by listing in USA, mind it, I'll repeat, if Indian company want to raise capital by listing its share in USA, then it will be known as ADR. But if Indian company wants to raise equity by listing in a country, any country but outside USA, this will be known as GDR. Okay, so in case of ADR, it will be an instrumental, negotiable instrumental certificate issued by a US bank, which will have underlying value of the share. So in case of ADR, US bank will do. But since GDR is when the company is listed outside USA, how can it be US bank? Therefore, second statement is wrong and correct answer is 2. Next one, non-sampling error may arise because of. So you have to understand sampling error and non-sampling error to understand it. So guys, let me tell you what is sampling error. So what do we do in our sampling distribution in our stats class? That there is a sample, okay? There is a sample given, and from the sample data, we try to estimate about parameter of the population. For example, from this sample, I calculate my mean, and from this mean, I try to estimate value of mean of population. This is what we do, right? Now, because we are trying to estimate and sample is just representing population, it is not entire population, they are definitely chances of having some error. And that is why we do interval estimation and we calculate margin of error. So this error which occurs because we are trying to make a guess from sample, this is known as sampling error. Other than this, every other error is non-sampling error. So what can be non-sampling error? That we did not identify our problem properly, we did not design our question properly, our interview methods were not appropriate, we did not analyze the data properly, there was no response error, population was not well defined. So these are all of them are non-sampling error. Now non-sampling errors can arise because of now you can understand it. This one true, yes. This is also true. Wrong entry, yes. Only part of population is observed. This is also true. So C is what? Incomplete coverage of population. Now this doesn't make any sense. So your correct answer is A, B, D, and E. Option 4. Yeah. Let's move on. Which of the following statements are true with regard to positive skewed distribution? So guys, distribution can be symmetrical, positively skewed, or negatively skewed. In case of symmetrical, and let me show you. So symmetrical looks something like this, and your positively skewed will look something like this, and your negatively skewed will look something like this. I hope you can figure it out now. Okay, so this is my symmetrical, this is positively skewed, this is negatively skewed. Okay, now in case of positively skewed, where is my mode? Mode will be this value, right? This is the highest value, so this will be mode. And where will be my median? In between, the value which lies in between, this is where I'll have my median. Where will be my mean? So mean maybe will be here. Okay, this mean will be here. So positively skewed values, mode will be greater than median, will be mean will be greater than, because this value is higher. So mean will be greater than median, will be greater than mode, therefore A is true. Now another thing, where will my Q1 and Q3 will lie? So what is my Q3? So Q3 will be that point up to which there will be 75% area, up to which there will be 75% area. So because it's a long tail at the right, so my Q3 will lie somewhere over here, Q3. Okay, and where will I have my Q1? Q1 will be somewhere over here. So Q1 will be close to median, because See guys, when we are writing, and anyway it's not a detailed class, when we are writing q1, q2, q3, q4, q2 is nothing but median only. So we have to see that we have to write q3, q1, q2, q3 in such a way that your area under the graph is 25%, 25%, 25%, and so on in all four parts. Okay, so what is given? It is given that the difference between this q3 and median will be higher than the difference from q2 and your median. So your correct answer will be in this case D. And I hope you can put up you can try and read through it how we'll find q1, q3. So what you can understand is that one where my q1 will be such that q1, q2, q3, and so such that your this area, this 1, 2, 3, and 4, the area is equal to 25%, 25%, 25%. That is what will decide your q1, q2, q3. So your A and D are correct answer, and therefore your correct answer is what? 1. Okay, next one. So these are formulas of different probability distribution. Not much to teach, guys. Your uniform will be this, your binomial will be this. We did some time back. Your probability distribution is given by this, hypergeometric is this, and your correct answer will be A. You can do it yourself. Yeah. Next one. Match the following hedger, financial derivative, arbitrageurs, commodity future in origin, Osaka. So what is Osaka? So Osaka is commodity exchange which is in Japan. It is known as ODEX, which is named Osaka Dojima Commodity Exchange. So this goes with D. So D goes with 1, and this will become your correct answer. So who are these guys? Arbitrageurs. Who are these guys? So basically they get profit from market inefficiencies, and so they don't take any risk, but they make profit by exploiting the inefficiencies in the market. So your C will go with 4th. So who are hedgers? Hedgers are those guys who protect themselves from the risk of price movement in commodity market. So your A will go with the commodity producers, and remaining option is B. Correct answer is 2. Yeah. Next one, cash flow approach. Yeah. Yes. Cash flow approach of assessing debt capacity involves the following steps. Arrange them in a sequence. So these cash flow approach is used for what? For determining the target capital structure. So why do we do that? Because we also want to make sure that whatever debt you are taking, we have ability to service this debt. I mean, it should not happen that we are running out of cash to pay back the debt. So we assess that debt capacity. Steps are A, B, C, D only, and which are given in option 2. Next one. Arrange the following steps of research proposal in a logical sequence. Again, we keep doing it many times. So first step is that we identify the research problem. Then we do the research design. After that, we do the literature review. Then we collect data, and then we formulate the hypothesis. So your correct answer is A, E, C, D, B, which is 3. Next one. Mean deviation is about 80% of standard deviation. Okay, so there are two relations, guys, which you have to remember, that your quartile deviation is nothing but 2/3 of standard deviation. Okay, and your mean deviation is nothing but 4/5 of standard deviation. So you have to remember these two relations. Now what is given? Your mean deviation is 80% of standard deviation. Yes, this is right, which is 4/5. Quartile deviation is 2/3 of standard deviation. This is also right. So both statements are true. But is our correct explanation of A? No, they have got no relation. So therefore correct answer is 2. Okay, next one. Capital markets play an important role in mobilizing resources and diverting them into products. It's a very nice statement, nothing wrong. Capital market is a market where buyer and seller engage in trade of financial security like bonds, stocks, of course true. So both statements are true and correct answer is 1.
Coming to this question, the question is saying amalgamation adjustment account is used for recording which of the following, right? So if it is talking about amalgamation adjustment account, it will be prepared at the time of amalgamation of two companies, right? So basically this account is nothing but the need to prepare this account arises whenever there are statutory reserves which have to be maintained in the books of the transferee company, which were previously there in the books of transferor company, right? So the answer key to this question is amalgamation adjustment account is used for recording statutory reserves in the books of transferee company. This is the correct answer. The accounting standard AS3 revised has become mandatory with effect from accounting periods beginning from 1st of April 2001 for which of the following enterprise? Now we need to identify that this revised AS3 has become applicable for which of the following enterprises, right? So for the application of accounting standards, the enterprises have been divided among three levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3, right? Okay, so for level 1 enterprises, the accounting standards are applicable fully. Okay, so there is no exemption for level 1 category of enterprises for the applicability of accounting standards. And under level 1, certain specifications have been given wherein which kind of enterprises are covered for this thing, level 1. This is the case: commercial, industrial, and business reporting enterprises whose turnover for the accounting period exceeds rupees 50 crores. Okay, so this is automatically saying that AS3 is applicable for such kind of commercial, industrial, and business reporting enterprises whose turnover exceeds rupees 50 crores. And in level 1 itself, there are many other enterprises which have been specifically given, like for example, all listed entities, they have to be mandatorily follow all the accounting standards. And then enterprises who are in the process of listing, or banks, financial institutions, or those commercial, industrial, and business reporting enterprises whose borrowing exceeds rupees 10 crore. Okay, and all the holding and subsidiary companies of those which I have mentioned just now, they are also covered. So accordingly, answer key 1 is the correct option to this question, right? Next, CCA method of inflation accounting is a result of recommendation of which of the following committee? So simply put forth, what I need to state here is that inflation accounting is basically having two methods under it, right? So whenever we do accounting for price level changes, in case there is a significant amount of inflation or deflation in the economy, then there is a need of inflation accounting, right? So there are two prescribed methods. One is current cost accounting method, and the other is current purchasing power method. Okay, so the CCA method of inflation accounting was recommended by this Sandilands committee in the year 1975. Okay, so answer 3 is the correct option to this question. Now under this question, basically we have to calculate the value of goodwill from annuity method. Okay, so annuity method, what we do, how we calculate the value of goodwill under the annuity method, basically we arrive at the present value of the goodwill by discounting it at the normal rate of return. Fine. So it is very simple to calculate here goodwill. First of all, we'll just compute the average profits here. So average profits, the profits for 5 years have been given to us: 80,000, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20, 125, and 2 lakh. So we will arrive at the figure of average profits by dividing the total with 5, right? So it amounts to 6,25,000 divided by 5. So the average profit here is 1,25,000. Now what is normal rate of profits in this industry? That is 10% on rupees 10 lakh. So 10 lakh is the figure of capital employed and 10% is the normal rate of return it is given. So 10% on 10 lakh is how much? 1 lakh. So what is the total difference here? So this is nothing but this is super profits. How much is the super profit here? So difference between these average profits and normal profits, that is rupees 25,000. And when here it is also given the value of goodwill on the basis of annuity method, taking the present value of the annuity of rupee 1 for 5 years at 10% is 3.7. It is given here. So we will simply divide this figure of super profits with this value 3.7907. So it will give you approx 94770 as the answer. So answer key 3 is the correct option to this question. Which of the following events of the balance sheet date would normally qualify as adjusting events according to AS4 events after balance sheet date? Now 4 of the options have been given to you: insolvency of the customer, decline in the market value of the investment, declaration of the ordinary dividend, determination of the cost of asset purchase before the balance sheet date. Again, AS4, if you go by AS4, basically it recognizes, it wants every entity to recognize those events which happens after balance sheet date, but have impact on the conditions or items at the balance sheet date, right? So whenever few events happens after the balance sheet date and they are going to impact balance sheet figures or balances which are there in the balance sheet on a given date, then those are called adjusting events, right? So if they have significant or material impact on the balance sheet figures, then we need to adjust those events. And opposite of them are non-adjusting events. So if they occur at if the events are occurring after the balance sheet date and they do not materially affect the figures at the if they do not affect the figures of the balance sheet at a particular date, then they are called non-adjusting events, right? So like for example, if you go by this, the insolvency of the customer on the balance sheet date, actually it should not be on the balance sheet date but after the balance sheet date. So whenever after the balance sheet date, when the entity is sure about its loss because of the insolvency of the customer, it means it has to be adjusted, right? It has to be adjusted to report fairly. Okay, so this is a adjusting event. A decline in the market value of investments. Now if there is any ordinary fluctuations in the market value of the investments, then that is not the adjusting event, that's a non-adjusting event, right? So because the fluctuations are ordinary, not significantly impacting the items in the balance sheet, right? Declaration of the ordinary dividend, same as the case with this thing. Whenever the entity what happens at the time of the declaration of dividend, it is done after the balance sheet date but before the date of approval of the accounts, right? So whenever the dividend is declared by the entity, it is basically shown by way of footnote in the balance sheet. So it again comes into non-adjusting events. Determination of the cost of assets purchased before the balance sheet date. Actually, this is also not given in the full extracts, right? Determination of the cost of assets purchased before the balance sheet date means these as any asset which is basically purchased or disposed of before the balance sheet date, however their proceeds are either received or paid after the balance sheet date, then they need to be adjusted. Okay, so this and this, these are falling into the category of adjusting events. So we need to give adjustment as on the balance sheet date with respect to these two events. So A and D both are adjusting events as per AS4. Next. So in this question, we have to match methods of inventory control with respective explanation. So if you look for this JIT, JIT is just in time. So if you know their full form, even you would be able to recognize which point refers to what. Okay. So JIT is inventory arrived to the manufacturing site just few hours before they are put to use. So whenever there is need arises, then only we demand the inventory. So this is the requirement of JIT system, right? ABC is the items of inventory are classified according to their value of usage. Okay, and FSND stands for this: fast moving items, slow moving items, non moving items, and dead items. So this relates to dividing the items into the categories in the descending order of their usage rate. Now the items are categorized as per their usage rate. So VD stands for vital, essential, and desirable analysis. Okay, so D would automatically belongs to this: divides items into the categories in the descending order of their critical use. So how critical are the items in the production method, that would decide their usage, right? Okay, so this is accordingly this third option is the amount of penalty for making a false statement to the Competition Commission by a person who is a party to a combination shall be between. So it's straightforward given under section 44 of the Competition Act. That is this 50 lakhs to 1 crore. So the amount of penalty for this kind of offences 50 lakhs to 1 crore, right? A minor takes a loan of rupees 4,000 from B during his minority. On attaining majority, he applies to B for a further loan of rupees 3,000. B gives his loan and obtains from A a combined promissory note of rupees 7,000 for the two loans. This is considered as, now they have just made you confused. So because this 4,000 of loan has been obtained by A during his minority, and this 3,000 amount of loan has been obtained by A after obtaining majority. However, the promissory note has been issued by minor A after he had attained the age of majority. Now think about this thing, because he himself is promising to give rupees 7,000 to B on attaining majority, then that is absolutely a valid contract. Okay, so no matter what he is signing in as amount. Okay, which among the following is the essence of the Information Technology Act is not a correct statement? So this is very simple. If you have ever heard about this Information Technology Act, so anything which is digital, which is electronic, which is cyber in nature, which is related to cyber, that comes under the purview of the Information Technology Act. So you can directly come to this conclusion. So this includes this first statement is saying legal recognition of electronic documents. Okay, so this is one of the objective of the Information Technology Act, legal recognition of the DSC, digital signatures, justice dispensation system for cyber crimes. This is also one of the major objective of the Information Technology Act. So automatically, any contract for the sale or conveyance of immovable property or any interest in such property, that is not in any way the essence of IT Act. Which one of the following is included in the term work under the Copyright Act 1957? So if you go to the definition of work under this act, the law clearly states that any cinematographic film, a sound recording, or a dramatic work, they are under the purview of the works definition under this act. So layout, design of integrated circuits, that is not covered as work under this act. Okay, fine. A new issue debt or shares will invariably involve flotation cost in the form of which of the following, right? So this is again very simple question. So what is flotation cost? Whatever the expenses incurred by the company during a new issue of debt or shares, that is called its flotation cost. So legal fees, yes, absolutely okay. Administrative expenses will also be incurred by the entity. Brokerage, underwriting commission would be also incurred as an expense by this entity, right? So risk premium has nothing to do with the flotation cost. So only this A, B, C, D are the correct options to this question. So answer 3. Next question. Which of the following statements are true regarding the objectives of the RTI? Indicate the correct code. So Right to Information Act. What is the purpose of this act? To operationalize the fundamental right to information? Yes. To set up system and mechanisms that facilitate people's easy access to information. Yes, this is of course an objective of the RTI, easy access of information. To promote transparency and accountability and governance, one of the foremost objective of the RTI. To minimize corruption and inefficiency in public offices. This is also one of the major objective of the RTI. So all are correct. So answer key 2 is the correct option to this question, right? On which of the following grounds the tribunal may order for the winding up of the company or a petition submitted to it? So by if the winding up is happening through tribunal, it means it's a compulsory mode of winding up, right? So these all are basically passing of special resolution for the winding up, conducting affairs in the fraudulent manner, reduction in membership whenever the membership of the company falls below the statutory minimum, then that also makes the case for compulsory winding up of the company by the tribunal. Whenever the company is unable to pay its debt, so if the tribunal thinks fit, it can go for winding up of the company, right? So these are the grounds for winding up of the company by tribunal. So option number 3 is correct with respect to this question. Now again, this question is very simple to match. Bonus shares, demat shares, right issue, sweat equity shares. So if you know what demat shares, look for this option, demat shares. So simply it is given shares in electronic form. Everyone today knows that shares in electronic form, they are called demat shares, right? So B4 is coming to in this option only. So it means A should be the correct option. So if you do not look for other options, then also you can hit A if you know that what demat shares are. So A2, what is bonus shares? Now look at the other options. A2, issue is made to existing members free of charge. Yes, whenever the company issues shares free of cost to the existing shareholder, that is bonus issue, right? So right issue, whenever the company comes out with the issue of the shares, it has to invite the existing shareholders to purchase the new shares, right? So that is called right issue. Sweat equity is whenever shares are issued by the company at discount to those people who basically give something to the company in the form of know-how, technology, etc. So that is sweat equity, right? So correct option is A to this question. Next, again there's a match the following and actual delivery. So how would you identify that which kind of delivery they are talking about? Actual, how do you deliver? So think about delivery of pizza. Whenever there is physical handing over of the possession of the goods by the seller to the buyer. So this is actual delivery. Okay, fine. And what is constructive delivery? What is constructive delivery? This is acknowledgement by a third person in possession of the goods to hold them on behalf of and at the disposal of the buyer. It means whenever the agent of the buyer procures the possession of the goods from the seller and he keeps those goods on behalf of the buyer, then that is called constructive delivery. Okay, so symbolic is delivery of means of obtaining possession of the goods by the seller to the buyer. So whenever there is no possibility of physical delivery of goods, every time they cannot be physical handing over of the possession of the goods from the seller to the buyer. So like for example, goods lying in the go down, so only the handing over of the keys of the go down would amount to delivery. So that is the case of symbolic delivery. And what delivery is, that is voluntary transfer of possession of goods from seller to buyer. So there is voluntary transfer of possession of goods from seller to buyer in the case of simple delivery definition, right? So answer to this question is 2. The assets of the partnership firm, including any sums contributed by the partners to make up deficiencies of capital at the time of dissolution, shall be applied in the following manner and order. So long question is given, but actually it is very simple. Whenever there is partnership, so what happens at the time of the dissolution? Who will be paid first? So you must see this thing, that there is there any third party? Yes. So it's written here, third party, in paying the debts of the firm to third party, right? So how the assets of the firm, partnership firm, would be applied in case of dissolution in paying the debts of the firm to the third parties? So first of all, the application would be towards paying the third parties, if any, right? Okay, then in paying each partner ratably, which is due to him for advances as distinguished from capital. So if any partner has given any loan and advance to the partnership firm, then that would be paid secondly, right? And then in paying to each partner ratably, which is due to him on account of capital, then what is pending on account of capital, that would be paid. And lastly, whatever is left, then that would be distributed among the partners according to their profit sharing ratio. Okay, so CABD would be the correct option to this. Arrange the following procedure for the grant of patent in a proper sequence. So how the patent has to be granted, there's a proper sequence. So what is the sequence that is followed? That is the first inventor of the work who claims to be true and first owner. So who is the first inventor? That would be called as true and first owner, or his advocate would be called as like legal representative or his legal representative, right? Okay, and then this thing, for yes, this is true, for each invention separate application for a patent has to be made. So this would be identified first, and then separate application for a patent has to be made for every separate invention. Okay, fine. And true and first owner, so there are two forms basically in which they need to apply for the grant of patent. The true and first owner will apply in form 1, whereas legal representative of the true owner shall apply in form 2. And again, this fees will be paid. A complete specification has to be filled out in the form with a fee of ₹50 within 12 months. So how much is the time period? Within 12 months from the date of filing of application. Okay, so this is the procedure, how it proceeds. Okay, so this one first, second, and then third, and then fourth. CDAB. So correct option to this answer is 2. Next, now this question is in the form of assertion and reasoning. What assertion says? A, the owner of the ship, by fraudulently representing her to be seaworthy induces B on underwriter to insure the ship. So basically the word fraud is there. Okay, the owner of the ship by fraudulently representing her to be seaworthy induces B on underwriting to insure the ship, because B can, the reason is B can obtain cancellation of the policy as it is a fraud on account of fraudulent misrepresentation under the Contract Act, because he fraudulently represented her to be seaworthy and got the ship insured. Then B has every right to cancel the policy, okay, based on fraudulent misrepresentation. Okay, so the answer should be both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A, right?
Okay, so let's start with this question. It says that annual demand for an item is 3200 units. The unit cost is ₹6, then inventory carrying cost charges are 25% per annum. If the cost of one procurement is 150, then determine the number of orders per year. Now, in this, we have to calculate EOQ first. EOQ is under root 2A into B divided by C. Now we know A is our annual demand, B is our cost of procurement, or we can also say it as ordering cost, and C is our carrying cost. And carrying cost is calculated by multiplying unit cost with the carrying charges. Okay, so if we put the values in the formula, then our EOQ will be 3200 multiply 150, sorry, 2 into 3200 multiply 150 divided by 6 into 25%. So our EOQ will come out to be 800 units. And it is asking us number of orders, and number of orders are calculated by annual demand divided by your EOQ, that is economic order quantity. So our number of orders are 4. So that is, in a year the company should have 4 orders of 800 units so that they can have minimum cost, and that would be the ideal order quantity. The theory which explains the effect of devaluation on balance of trade is known as, so the theory that explains the devaluation is the J-curve theory. And J-curve theory states, it can be understood with the help of this diagram, that it is the deficit area, the surplus area with respect to time. So J-curve theory states that with respect to time, trade deficit will initially worsen and will reach the deepest point, then it will start increasing, and eventually we will start having trade surplus. And why is that? Because of depreciation or because of devaluation of the currency, our imports will be cheaper. At first they will be cheaper, so we will increase imports, and when we will increase import, then over a period of time we will have increase in volume, which will lead to decrease in imports. Because when we will have increase in imports, then we will utilize it somewhere, then we will manufacture more products, and when we will manufacture more products, that means that we will be efficient in production, and when we will be efficient in production, that means our exports would increase. And if our exports are increasing, that means our own production is efficient, is low cost, that means people will prefer domestic products more than the imported products, so our imports will decrease eventually, and when imports will decrease, it will lead to trade surplus. So that's why at first there would be trade deficit, but eventually it will cause trade surplus. Then FDI in manufacturing, in Indian manufacturing has largely been FDI in Indian manufacturing. So FDI is have a particular motive to invest in a country. Okay, so for India, the motive is market seeking. Why market seeking? Because India has a potential of consumers, or a lot of consumers that have not been tapped on by the manufacturers of India only. So that's why FDI or the foreign companies see or have seen the opportunity that when will they invest in Indian Indian country, they will have more consumers that they can use, and they will have more profit. So in India, it is market seeking because there is a lot of potential in the Indian market that has not been tapped on till now. And resource seeking is China, because in China we have very low, you can say, cost of labor and cost of raw material. So FDI in China is mostly for resource seeking, and in India it is for market seeking. Next is identify the principles of trade policy framework from the following under the WTO. Now, WTO trade policy framework includes principles of GATT and GATT's agreement. So it includes the principle of trade of goods and services agreements. Then it includes an extra agreement which have special requirement, which contains that there should be special requirement for specific sectors. That is another trade policy of WTO. Then it also includes from GATT. It says that there are schedules in GATT. There are schedules that says that there is binding commitment. Binding commitment is that if you enter in a agreement with another country under the WTO framework, then the commitment or the agreement is binding. That is, you cannot back off from that agreement. Okay. Then it also has that if service providers from specific sectors, their service provider from specific sectors are applying under the MFN principle. So if they are applying under the MFN principle, that is the most favored nation principle, then they are under the policy of non-discrimination. That is, they cannot discriminate between the products of the two countries because they are under the principle of MFN, that is most favored nation, that is given by WTO. So it provides non-discrimination. Then WTO has a body which is dispute settlement body. This dispute settlement body checks the transparency, that everything that is being done according to the agreement and is true and fair, and it also reviews trade policies and agreements. Okay, so what we can say is that under the trade policy framework, WTO has reciprocity and transparency, non-discriminatory, and binding and enforceable commitment. So answer is A, C, and D only. Next question. In this, it is asking the exemption with respect to HRA is based upon the following factors. Now, under the Income Tax Act, HRA is calculated with by 3 steps. That is, first we calculate the HRA received. Then, in the second step, we calculate rent paid minus 10% of the salary. And in the third step, we calculate 50% or 40% of the salary depending on the area in which you are residing. So if you are residing, if the employee is residing in a metropolitan city, then 50% of the salary is taken. And if he is in another country, in another city or in another place other than the metropolitan cities, then 40% of the salary is taken. So least of these 3 is taken as HRA exemption. Okay, so in this case, what are the factors that we are looking on? HRA actually received, rent paid, salary, and the location. So rent paid, place of residence, salary, and HRA received. So these 4 are the factors that are taken for calculating HRA. So A, B, C, and D only. Next question. A is resident in India, age 60 years, earned agricultural income of 5 lakh and non-agricultural income of 3 lakh during the previous year. So what is the tax liability of A? Now we know that agricultural income received by a resident in India is always exempt. So this 5 lakh is exempt because it is agricultural income. Now non-agricultural income of 3 lakh. Now we have to look at the slab rates. So for 60 years to 80 years old people, the senior citizen, the slab rate up to 3 lakh is nil. That is, nothing is charged if the person is earning up to 3 lakh. Then from 3 lakh to 5 lakh, 5% is charged. Then 5 lakh to 10 lakh, 10%, and above 10 lakh, it is 30%. So we can say for this person, for A, 5 lakh is exempt due to agricultural income and 3 lakh will be charged at 0% or nil. So tax liability is nil for A. Okay. Next it is asking which of the following entity has recently been negotiated to place NAFTA with effect from July 2020. So NAFTA is an agreement between North America. It is a free trade agreement. Now North America free trade agreement is between USA, Canada and Mexico. So this agreement was replaced or negotiated with the new agreement, which is now from this one we can easily say that Transatlantic, Shanghai and Quad group of countries. So all these are related to Asian. So it leaves us to USMCA, and when we will see the full form is USA, Mexico, Canada agreement. So we can either do it with the elimination, that we know these two are definitely from Asian or European side. Quad group of countries is also from that, and USMCA is the only one left, so the answer is second. Or we can know that the full form is US Mexico Canada agreement, which we can relate with NAFTA. Next is which of the following countries or territories is not a member of WTO? Now we know that WTO has 164 members. That is the general information that we look for. But we should also know that WTO has 25 countries that are under the observer status. That is, they have given the observer status that if few conditions are met, then they can be a member of WTO. And few of them are not even a member of WTO. So among these, Iran is the one which is not a member of WTO, but it is an observer state, or sorry, observer country or observer member, which it has been from since 2005. Since 2005, Iran has been given the observer status. Next is tax audit is compulsory in case of a person in a profession whose gross receipts from the profession exceed. Now tax audit is under section 44A(b) of our PGBP, under PGBP head. Okay, now this says that if a person is earning income from business, and from business the sales turnover exceeds 1 crore, then they have to get a compulsory tax audit. And in the case of profession, if the person's gross receipt exceeds 50 lakh, then also he has to get a tax audit compulsory. So in this case 50 lakh is a limit because the person is in a profession. Maximum tax-free limit for payment received under voluntary retirement scheme is, so under voluntary retirement scheme VRS, which is under section 10C of under the head salary, it states that voluntary retirement scheme, the maximum limit is rupees 5 lakh. That is straight away given. So we can just, if we have read the act, we will know that it is under 5 lakh. Next, match the list. So in this we have to know the year in which these organizations were set up. So International Finance Corporation was set on 1956. International Development Association was set in 1960. World Intellectual Property Organization was in 1967, and IBRD is in 1954, and IBRD was under Bretton Woods Agreement. And in that agreement, the Bretton Woods Agreement, which was made in 1944, it has two parts, two organizations, IMF and IBRD, both were established in 1944 only. Okay, so accordingly our answer is, for A it is third, for B fourth. So from this we can see answer is fourth. Next is arrange the following countries in ascending order of their contribution to the WTO budget 2020. Now this is a very general based question or current affairs based question. So WTO budget 2020, a lot of countries, all the members of countries of the WTO, that is the 164 countries that are the member of WTO, give some contribution to it. So it prepares a budget accordingly. And if we look at the report given by WTO, we can see that UK has contributed 3.8%, Japan has contributed 3.9%, Germany has contributed 7.15%, China has around 10.3%, and USA around 11.7%. So UK is the least in the options that we have been given, and USA is at the maximum 11.7%. So accordingly, we can arrange it in the order that UK, Japan, Germany, China, and USA. Then any planning of tax which aims at reducing tax liability in legally recognized permissible way can be termed as an instance of. So whenever you are having a tax planning, reducing tax liability in legally recognized permissible way, that means you are finding a loophole in the Income Tax Act and using that loophole to avoid or to decrease your tax liability. So this is tax avoidance, because you are avoiding your tax liability. Tax planning is use of your deductions that is given deductions and exemptions accordingly, and planning your tax your income accordingly. So that is tax planning. Tax evasion is illegal when you evade from paying the taxation. Tax management is a broader concept that includes tax planning, which is also a legal framework accordingly, in which you use the Income Tax Act in a way so that you can plan you can manage your tax liability at the lowest. Okay, so for this the answer is tax avoidance. For which of the following taxes has been replaced by the GST? Now UGC has not given the answer for this question because the options that are given here are incorrect, because GST has replaced all the 4 taxes and we have not been provided the option in which all the options are given. So that's why UGC has not provided the answer. But if you look at the CBIC, on the CBIC website, there is a document which states that how many taxes GST has replaced, and it has replaced all these taxes: central excise duty, service tax, taxes on advertisement, and duties of excise, medicinal and toilet preparations. All these taxes have been replaced by GST. People are having a doubt in this one because usually it is not written in the books that we are provided, but if you look at the CBSE website, then you will see that it is also in the list that of the replacement of the taxes. Okay, so this is also replaced, so answer should be A, B, C and D, all the 4 options. Now this is a question regarding deductions, and this type of question has been asked every year by UGC. So we should always remember the list of this deduction under section 80, 80C, 80G, every deduction that is given there, because this question is always asked. So 80EE is so let's see, under section 80EE, the deduction is regarding interest on loan taken for residential houses. So for A, answer is third. For 80GG, the deduction is regarding in respect of rent paid. Under section 80GGA, it is for regarding certain donations for scientific researches, and 80E is regarding interest on loan taken for higher education. Okay, so our answer is A third, B first, C second, and D fourth. Next is, which of the following income is generally chargeable under the head of income from other sources? Now we know that under the Income Tax Act, we have 5 heads of income: salary, house property, capital gains, PGBP or profit and gains from business or professions, and the last is other sources. So any source of income which does not fall in these 4 categories falls in the category of other sources. Now if we see income from subletting house property, so subletting house property, that means if A is the owner of the property and he has given the property to B on rent, that is letting the house property, which will be covered under this head. But if B has sublet the property to C and B is receiving rent on that property from C, then it is subletting, and in this case B is not the owner. B is also the person who is giving the rent. So that's why it is the income from other sources. Director fee. Director fee is, it is neither a salary, it is neither a profit or gain from business or professions. So that's why it falls into the director fees. Ground rent. Under house property, we have defined the term house property or the accommodation. So ground rent does not fall in that category, so that's why it is under the head other sources. Agricultural income from outside India. Now agricultural income from inside India is taxable. is exempt. But if it is outside India, then it is calculated under the head of other sources and it is taxable. Then insurance commission. So whenever you are receiving any insurance commission, pension, any insurance commission, then it is under other sources because it is not related to your salary or capital gains or house property or PGBP. It is not related to any other head. So that's why it is calculated under other sources only. Now income from sale of securities. Sale of securities is under the head of capital gains. Okay. So that's why it is not covered under other sources. So all these five options given above are the income that is chargeable under the head of income from other sources. So answer is 4. Which of the following are included in the definition in person under section 17(1)? So Income Tax Act have clearly defined what is person, and person includes an HUF, right? Company, correct? Firm, correct? Individual, local authority, association of persons, or there is also one more term that is artificial judicial person is also known as a person, or association of person oblique body of individual. So all these are defined under the under the definition of person. So we can say all of these are included. So answer is 4. Next is sequence the steps for computing depreciation and income from business or profession. So when you have to calculate depreciation, first you should have the value of the asset at the beginning of the year. Okay, so for the beginning of the year, so first of all, we will have to calculate the value of each block at the beginning of the year. So first step is B. Then after calculating value at the beginning of the year, if there is any addition to the block of the asset, then we should look at that if you have bought any other asset. So another second step is D. Then third step is if you have sold any asset, so that will reduce the value of your block. So we will take the value of the sales or where scrap value of that asset or that block of asset. So then the next step is C. Then next step is, then we will after doing this from beginning year, adding the additional value, deducting the sold value, we will get the written down value at the end of the year. And on that value we will calculate the depreciation. Okay, so this value is for calculating the depreciation. We should have the written down value of the block at the end of the year. So these are the steps. So our correct answer is second. Next is foreign investment is playing an increasing role in economic development and contributes to significant share of domestic investment, employment generation, and exports. Substantial increase in the magnitude of capital inflows have remarkably improved the balance of payments and foreign exchange reserve position. Now the first statement states, the assertion says that foreign investment is playing an increasing role in economic development. So definitely if you are getting foreign inflows, then your economy will develop. You have a significant share of domestic investment, you have employment generation, you have export improvement because you will have improved efficiency. So this one is true or this one is correct. Substantial increase in the magnitude of capital inflows have remarkably improved the balance of payments and foreign exchange reserve position. This is also correct because of capital inflows, balance of payments will improve. Okay, because the inflows are more than outflows, so it will be positive balance of payment, and foreign exchange reserve position will also increase because you will have more for reserve now because of the inflows. So this is also correct, but these two statements do not have any relation between them. So that's why answer is true, because both A and R are correct, but R does not explain A because there is no relation between both of the statements.
Okay, we'll start with the question. So what it's saying is arrange the following steps in a logical sequence of the debt recovery by financial institutions through debt recovery tribunals. Okay, so DRTs, they are suggested by the Narasimhan Committee of 1991. So what will be the logical sequence in debt recovery? Okay, first they'll ask you that you have to show causes within a 30 days. They give you a time period of 30 days that the company have to show by the company is unable to pay back its debt to the bank, right? So it will be the first one. We can check right option, the C in the first, yeah. So fourth one will be the answer. But okay, check with other options too. Okay, after this time period, the company can mention, okay, this is the reason why they are not paying their debt. So the second, they will ask him to direct him to disclose particulars of the property other than those specified by the application bank. Suppose maybe they had a debt of 40 crores and they mentioned the earlier they mentioned the property of 20 crores. So remaining 20 crore, they'll that's why to get the remaining 20 crores back, they'll ask him to disclose particulars of property other than mentioned earlier, right? So okay, this will be the second one. And third, they are saying they are restraining companies to dealing with and disposing with the assets and properties pending at the hearing of the applications. They can't sell those properties which they're now mentioning here in the disclosure. Okay. The reason put forth the control over the activities of the international banks are. What can be the reasons to control over the activities of international bank? The first one be these banks increase inflation by adding stock of money supply through credit creation. Definitely yes. If more international banks are there, there will be more money supply in the market. If more money supply in the market, then inflation will increase. So option one is correct. Second one is saying these banks are sometimes responsible for the bank failure that mark the interest of the depositor. Yeah, definitely true. And this will happen during 2007 and 8 crisis. I hope you know about those crises. And the third one is they cause unmanageable indebtedness among the borrowing government by charging high interest rate. If government are taking loans from the international banks, definitely they'll charge high than the domestic banks. Okay, so this is also correct. Fourth one is saying they don't adhere to the credit allocation policy of the host government. Yes, definitely true. They are not adhere. They are not regulated to the credit allocation policy of the host government. So this is also correct. So all four are correct. The fourth one will be the answer. Move to the next slide. The thing which of the following is not the service provided by the NBFCs. As you know, NBFCs are non-banking financial institutions. They provide leasing, hire purchase activities, and they are different from the banks. They are not they don't take your demand deposits, right? They don't take your normal deposits. So okay. Okay, the first one is talking about the leasing services. Yes, they provide leasing services. This is correct. The second is talking about the asset management services. Yes, they are providing you asset management services. The third one, yes, definitely true. Implementing. See, modernization is a part. Every bank will follow that, right? So it is not like a service they are providing. So it is incorrect. You can do it by elimination. See, sometimes it is not necessary, you know, all the meanings of all the options, but by eliminating process, you can easily, like, you can use your brain and you can eliminate the option. Which was following are the reasons for raising funds via securitization. Okay, so what is securitization? Basically, we have collaterals, and via reserving your collaterals, you can get loan from the banks or some companies. Okay, so first option is saying to raise the capital using non-conventional sources. No. The second one is to accelerate earnings for financial reporting purpose. Okay, correct. And to diversify funding sources, this is also correct. See, okay, here I'll tell you what are the non-conventional sources. Non-conventional sources are like your angel investors, your leasing activities. So it is not part of securitization. In securitization, basically, you put your collaterals and get loan over it, right? So to accelerate earnings for financial reporting purpose, yeah, definitely true. You are accelerating your earnings. You are getting more earning, right? And the third one is saying diversity. It is correct. It is correct to diversify funding resources. Earlier, you get finances from maybe maybe you are getting interest rate, right? And maybe like you are working somewhere, so you are getting your money from there. So here also you are diversifying your funding resources. You are getting now from collateral services, from securitization. You are also get money, right? Then fourth one is saying the potential for reducing funding cost. See, here you are not funding somewhere, right? If you are purchasing something and get loan over it, so definitely there you are bearing some cost. But here it's securitization. Suppose मैंने gold को as a collateral basis पे रखते हैं and over I'm getting some money, right? So it is part of securitization. So B, C, and D are correct. B, C, and D is correct. Second one is the answer. So the next question is, which of the following is not an approach to the structure of the Indian financial system? Okay, the first one is saying a brokerage can either be full service or discount. Yeah, true, because there are various brokers in a capital market, in a stock market, who are charging their brokerage from you, right? So some are charging full service, full amount from you, and some are charging some discounted price, like and some may be charging from your transactions, right? Maybe they get 50% of your transactions, whatever you are getting as a profit, they'll charge 50% of that, 5% of that, 50% of that, right?
So the next one is saying the financial system, this is correct. The next one is saying the financial system is concerned about money, credit and finance. Yeah, definitely true. Our financial system revolves around these keywords only. So yeah, B is saying right. I guess no need to go through this. The third one is saying housing finance simply refers to providing finance for venture capital. No, housing finance is provide for finance to housing activities, not to venture capital. So the next one is saying this is incorrect. The next one is saying financial instrument may be divided according to the asset class. Yes, which depends on the whether they are debt based or equity based. I think we also read about these statements in our book too, that okay, the financial statement instrument, they are divided according to their asset class, right? Whether they are debt based or equity based, and based on that they put it in your tables, right? So this is also correct. So A, B and D, these are correct, A, B and D, and he's asking the not correct option. So C is not correct.
Okay, so the question is the cross elasticity of demand between the complementary products is positive, zero, negative or infinite. Now let us see what are complementary good products. Complementary products are the products which complete the demand for each other. For example, pen and the ink, car and petrol, etc. So there is always an inverse or a negative relationship between the demand for the first good and the price of the second. We can understand it with the help of a diagram. All right. For example, the price of pens is set at this point, and the demand, it shows the demand for ink and the price for pen. If the price for pen is this, so the demand for ink would be this. And if the price for the pen is increased to this level, for example, from P to P1, then the quantity demanded of ink would reduce from Q to Q1. Is this? So it is always a negative demand curve for the complementary goods. All right. If the price increases, the quantity demanded decreases. So the correct answer would be the third one. Next question. Income effect of price rise is greater than its substitution effect in case of, the correct answer is Giffen goods. Now, in case of Giffen goods, what happens is the income effect is negative. For example, when there is an increase in income, the quantity demanded of that product, which is Giffen goods, it would decrease. All right. This is the one condition for the Giffen goods, and the second condition is that the negative income effect is always stronger than the substitution effect. So basically, the net effect is basically dominated by the negative income effect. All right. What does this imply? It implies that there is always a positive relation between price and demand in case of Giffen goods. So according to the question, it is asking that where is the substitution effect is greater, where the income effect is greater than the substitution effect. This is in case of Giffen goods. So correct answer is second one. Now the next question is, a U-shaped long run average cost curve is based on the assumption that based on the assumptions that. Now a long run average cost curve is always U-shaped curve. It is like this. All right. Now it is based on certain assumptions. Let us see these statements one by one. The first one is greater division of labor and specialization accrue to larger firms. Okay. The minimum cost of production at various levels of output. All right. Economies of scale prevail at small levels of output. Yes, this is true actually. Economies of scale, and contrary to this, diseconomies of scale prevails at larger level of output. See, when you look at these statements, you can clearly mark C and E as the correct assumptions in one go, because what happens is because of the decreasing returns on scale when they arise, primarily what happens it happens because as the scale of operation increases and it becomes more difficult to manage the firm effectively. So what happens is, where there is small output, it is easy to achieve the economies of scale, and with larger output, there are diseconomies of scale which are attracted. Okay, the first one, the greater division of labor and specialization accrue to larger firms. Obviously, when there are larger firms, it is easy to divide the labor and then help the labor become specialized in the specific a specific work which has been assigned to them. All right, so A is also correct. Now look at the second one, minimum cost of production at various levels of output. No, this is not true, because as you can see, the curve of the long run average cost curve is basically U-shaped. It is that initially the cost of production is decreasing, then it comes at a minimum level, then it starts increasing. So basically at various levels of output, there is it is not always that there is minimum cost of production, it is only at certain level. All right, so this is wrong. Then comes the D one, it becomes more difficult to manage the firm effectively as it grows bigger. Obviously, because as we saw in the statement number C and E, it becomes very difficult when the firm grows larger and larger. There are certain managerial inefficiencies which can come in the way. So this assumption is also correct. So which one is incorrect? B is incorrect, other ones are correct. So accordingly, the correct option would be fourth, A, C, D, and E. Now moving to the next question. Identify the necessary conditions of price discrimination. Now what is price discrimination? Price discrimination is a phenomenon where a same product is sold in different markets at different prices by the firm. Now there are certain conditions for those. Let us see the statements one by one. There should be imperfect competition in the markets. No, see, yeah, it is actually true, because whenever there is a perfect competition, there would be no price discrimination practiced. Oh, all right, because there the firms are price takers and not the price makers. So in imperfect competition, there is a possibility of price discrimination, correct? Next is markets must be separable. Yes, this is also true, because only when the markets are separable, for example, there are two or more markets and they are they can be separated like geographically or in any other way, then only it will be possible to set different prices for different products in those markets. All right, C, differentiated products and interdependence between the firms. No, this is not true, because in interdependence and even in the differentiated products, it becomes very difficult to discriminate the price or to apply that price discrimination strategy. So this is not a condition. The next one, elasticity of demand must be different in different markets. Obviously, this is so true, because whenever there is elasticity of demand differs in different markets, only then it would be beneficial for the firm to set different prices in those markets. Otherwise, if the same price is yielding the same kind of demand, there is no point of setting different prices for those markets. So A, B, and D are correct, and option number 4 is our correct answer. Next question. Which of the following explains the downward slope of an ordinary demand curve? A, income effect of price change, substitution effect, utility, maximization behavior of consumer, risk averse behavior of consumer. C, directly you can see that risk averse behavior of consumer, this is nowhere related to the demand curve or the downward sloping demand curve. All right, all the above three are correct in this relation. Let us see them one by one. Income effect of price change. What is the income effect of price change? Income effect of price change is the price increases whenever there is an increase in price. The real income is eliminating the effect of inflation on the income is what we call real income. So whenever the price of a product increases, the real income of the consumer decreases, and so the quantity demanded of the product would decrease, because you do not have the sufficient income at your disposal to purchase those high price products. So there is an inverse relationship between them. So this explains the downward slope. All right, A is correct. Next comes the substitution effect. See, substitution effect is always negative in case of that particular commodity. See, if we are comparing the substitution effect of two products which are substitute to each other, then it is always a positive effect, because, for example, take an example of tea and coffee. Whenever the prices of tea increases, the quantity demanded of coffee would increase, because tea would not be purchased more by the consumer as its prices has been increased. But if we see the effect in case of tea only, then it is always negative. All right. So substitution effect, what I mean is, it is always negative as the quantity demanded of a good increases when it becomes relatively cheaper. So this also justifies the statement. This also explains the downward slope of an ordinary demand curve. All right. C option is utility maximizing behavior of consumers. Obviously, this goes with the law of diminishing marginal utility. It states that whenever a consumer is consuming more and more units of the product, the utility he or she gains keeps on, it starts decreasing after a particular point. So it also shows a negative relationship between the utility and the quantity of the commodity consumed. So all these three explains the downward slope of an ordinary demand curve, and accordingly our answer C is the correct answer for this. Third. Next question, match the following. See, it is a straightforward question. There is nothing to be, understanding. There is nothing of understanding or explanation in this. So let us do it in one go. All right. So long run survival. Which of the economists gave this thing? This vote. See, first option 3 is the correct one. Rothschild KV gave this objective for the business firms. Next is sales revenue maximization. Baumol gave this one. Firms growth rate maximization. This was given by Maris and Robin. And D, marginal utility function maximization. It was given by Williamson DE. So it was basically a question based on cramming. If you have crammed the economists and the objectives they gave for the business firms, you would definitely have marked this question as correct. Next question. Arrange the following market structures in the increasing order of the price elasticity of the products. See, a very easy way of understanding this question is, it goes basically with the idea that wherever the number of sellers in the market are larger, there would be more elasticity. All right. More the number of sellers in the market, more would be the price elasticity. Why? Because it would lead to competition. When there are more number of sellers, there would be more competition, and when there is more competition, the firm tries and get into this price war and etc. So it gives the result of, like, it leads to the greater price elasticity of the products here. So let us arrange them in the increasing order. First of all, where are the least number of sellers? First is this monopoly. So there would be the least price elasticity. Second one is duopoly. There are only two firms, competing each other. Another one, the third one is oligopoly, and then the monopolistic competition, and the last one is perfect competition, where there are the largest number of sellers. So in this sequence, which option is there? B, E, D, C, A. Option number 2 is correct. Next question. A type of validity based on showing that scores on the test are referred to as predictors here, are related to the job performance. Which one of the following is the correct option? Test validity, content, criterion validity, and construct. The correct option is criterion validity. Why? Because let us take an example of let us understand criterion validity with the help of an example. For example, a job applicant takes a performance test during the interview process. If this test accurately predicts that how will the employee will perform on the job, this test is said to have criterion validity, that on whatever basis we have predicted the ability of the employee, it meets the criteria, that is the criterion validity. So this is the correct answer. Next question. Usually in which one of the following performance appraisal techniques subjects self-ratings are negatively correlated with their subsequent performance in an assessment center? See, even when you have no clue about what are all these, performance appraisal techniques or not, self-rating clearly given on the basis on the word, you can clearly mark answer 3 as the correct option. All right. So self-rating is the technique of performance appraisal where there are negatively, the subjects self-ratings are basically negatively correlated with their subsequent performances in an assessment center. All right. So option C is the correct one, third one. Next question. Use of focus groups and collaboration tools as a training needs assessment technique has the following disadvantages. All right, let us see what are the disadvantages given. Time consuming or organized? Yes. Okay, first of all, let us know or let us see what actually a focus group is. Focus group technique basically is a kind of group interview or discussion where a facilitator leads a group of participants. And how would he lead the group? Through a set of questions on a particular topic. Right, he sets certain questions and then he initiates the discussion or the interview for that particular group. So obviously, let us see the disadvantages. See, whenever there is a question on asking about any process or project's advantages or disadvantages, it should always be based on the most appropriate one. All right, there are no certain or the factual based advantages or disadvantages of a particular thing. So most appropriate options has to be chosen. So let us see. A is time consuming or organized. Yes, of course. Whenever there is a group interview or a discussion is scheduled or it is organized, it is time consuming. We can take it as a correct disadvantage. Another is unuseful with complex or controversial issues that one person may be unable or unwilling to explore. See, whenever there are extreme words used, such as complex or controversial issues, we should not take them into consideration at first place. All right. So we should not take it as the major disadvantage of this technique. Next is questions cannot be modified to explore the unanticipated issues. This is itself a very negative option or the statement because questions can be modified. This technique is based on setting up questions and then, leading the discussion. So there is no point that questions would not be able to be modified. Questions can be modified in this. So this is not a disadvantage of this. Last is group members provide only information they think you want to hear. Yes, of course, because whenever you are in a group interview or a group discussion, you would feel that whoever is the facilitator and they try to, get into the mind of that facilitator that what actually he or she wants to hear. So the group member are basically influenced by that thought and they try to, provide only such kind of information they think that the other person is willing to hear to. So this is also a disadvantage. All right, this was a quite easy question, I must say, because on a very general understanding, you could have marked these options as correct. So according to this, A and D, which one of the option is correct? This is the third one.
So question ID is 1512. It says occasional sale of a commodity at a lower price abroad in order to unload an unforeseen and temporary surplus of the commodity without reducing domestic price. So this is the direct definition of product dumping. Therefore, the correct answer ID is option number 4. Next question says when demand is slack and market is competitive, firm follow which of the following pricing methods? So when demand is slack and the market is competitive, in this case, firm actually follows marginal cost pricing. So what is marginal cost pricing? So marginal cost is actually the cost incurred by producing an additional unit. So in this case, since it is the demand is slack and market is competitive, we always want to produce as much as requires. Therefore, we will be very careful while producing our products, and therefore the correct answer is marginal cost pricing. Next question says, which of the following is not true about rural market? So this is a very generic question. Okay, this will be due by elimination. Print media is not necessarily impactful in rural market. No, it is not the correct statement. Rural customer is price sensitive. Yes, it is more appropriate. No significant change may be required in the advertising copy. Again, appropriate statement. Product should be simple, easy to use, service and maintain. Okay, so definitely the correct answer is option ID 1. So answer is 1. Next question says, which of the following is not true for supply chain management approach? Okay, so what is supply chain management? So basically it is a modern form of logistics, market logistics. In this case, when we are delivering our products from production unit to the customer, we are more concerned with the planning and what are the stakeholders and what are the feedback that we are using. So this is all about supply chain management. Now, which is not, we want to find the incorrect statement. So joint reduction in channel inventories, yes, this is the modern form. Large breadth of supplier base to increase competition and separate risk, no. We want to reduce the number of suppliers so that we can better coordinate the circumstances. Therefore, this is the wrong statement. Risk and reward are shared over long term. Okay, this is also correct. Company use intermodal transportation to reach their market. Yes, what is intermodal transportation? It simply means that we are using multiple transportation mode, right? Let us, for example, we can use truck for the delivery and also at the same time trains for certain distance. So the correct answer is option ID 2. Now, next question. Skimming price strategy delivers results. Okay, so first of all, what is skimming price strategy? So skimming price strategy is used when we enter in the market and we set a very high price. Okay, and over the time we reduce the price. Okay, so question says, what are the circumstances when skimming price strategy is effective? So skimming price strategy is definitely effective when we are launching a luxurious product. Okay, so keeping that in mind, if we say statement 1, when the size of the market is large and it is a growing market, I mean very generic, when the product is perceived as enhancing the customer status in the society. Let us use Apple phones in the market. They are very luxurious and therefore the price is also very high. So this is the correct statement. This is effective when we use skimming price strategy. When the firm uses as an entry strategy, no, because yes, it is an entry strategy, but the question specifically is asking about the circumstances when we use skimming price strategy. Okay, we can also use penetrating price strategy, right, for other products. Therefore, statement C is incorrect. Statement D says when the target market associates quality of the product with its price. Again, we talk about the quality and therefore statement D is also correct. If we see the option, option 2 says B and D is the correct answer and therefore answer 2 is the right answer. Next question, requirement for effective market segmentation. Okay, so what is market segmentation? Market segmentation is nothing but we divide market in terms of some similarities like geographical segmentation, demographic segmentation, or psychographic segmentation. So question is asking about the requirements for which we have to do effective market segmentation. Again, accessibility, yes, acceptable. Differentiation, no. We want similarities, right? Measurable, yes. Viable, yes. Intensity in competition, yes, there has to be some competition. That's why we are going for effective market segmentation. So this is also correct. So the correct answer is A, C, D, and E, which is provided in the answer key 4, and therefore this is the correct answer. Next question says environmental characteristics influencing distribution decisions are. Okay, again it is a very generic question. Let us see the statement. Government policy, more or less, yes. State of economy, again, yes. Social activism, I mean, there is no relation between distribution decisions one is taking and the social activism, so this is incorrect. Technological and infrastructure development, definitely this is included. Statutory provisions, again it is included. So the correct answer is A, B, D, and E. Answer key 4 is the right answer. Next question is the match the column. There are two lists. In the list 1, there are advertising agencies in 2020, and these advertising agencies are for these brands in the list 2. Again, this is a roadblocker question. I mean, no one can remember every these things. So, so if it is incorrect of yours, so it is okay. Okay, it is not. I don't think that it is the the doable question. Okay, so O&M, Olgivian method, it is related to the Cadbury. Okay, if you see the option, only 1 and 2 are providing this thing. Okay, and McCain Erickson. Okay, so it is related to Mastercard. So B is 1. So therefore, answer key 2 is the right answer. And then Tricra Gray is related to Procter and Gamble, and JWT Hindustan Thompson associated with the Nestle. So this is the right answer, and the correct answer ID is 2. Next question is, arrange the following steps of market feasibility study in the sequential order. Okay, so what is market feasibility study? Market feasibility study is actually the forecast of the demand that is for the product, and then catering out the price that we can fix, and all the expenditure that we need to do for the product. So if one is not aware of what is market feasibility study, then also he or she can do this question, because statements are very fast forward, very simple in nature. So again, first step should be C, estimating of demand in the target market. First we estimate demand, then based on that demand we forecast. So this must be 2. Okay, after that we calculate the estimating cost of serving the market. Okay, and then after all of these things, what we do, we calculate break even price and sales volume. Okay, so the correct answer is C, B, D, and A. Next question. So there are 2 statements. Statement 1 says, if firms are disproportionately powerful, the market leader makes the first move and captures 2/3 of the market share, while the follower firms gets only 1/3 of the market share. Okay, so first of all, this is I don't think that this is absolutely correct statement, because how can you fix the section of 2/3 or the 1/3? Okay, yes, market leader is the one who will capture the most of the market, therefore he or she is the market leader. So but UGC has given this is the correct answer, so statement 1 is also correct. It's correct. Statement 2 says oligopolistic firm do better by cooperating than following its dominant strategy. Yes. What is oligopoly? Oligopoly is when there are few firms in the market, and these firms are cooperating in nature. So therefore statement 2 is also correct, and the correct answer is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, moving forward to the next question. Which among the following is not a characteristics of transactional leader? Okay, so there are 2 forms of leader that we can differentiate. One is the transactional and the other is the transformative. So transformative leader is the one who inspire you to do work, who can generate motivation within yourself, right? So what is transactional? Just opposite of transformational, that he is only the coordinating the work, and he is not that much effective. So very simple, when we are eliminating the options, option 1 says gives personal attention, treat each employee individually. No, this is transformational leader. Abdicate responsibilities, avoid making decisions. Yes. Intervenes only when standards are not met. Yes. Contracts exchange of rewards for efforts. Yes. So option A is the right answer, and let us move forward. So stretch goals that challenge people to achieve higher level of success in current activity is known as. Okay, so this is known as vertical stretch goals. So what is vertical stretch goals? So vertical stretch goals relates to that we are aiming higher results, higher success using the current resources and objectives. Okay, so what is horizontal stretch goal? Horizontal stretch goal is just opposite, that that we are trying to we are trying to change our processes or our projects and all of those things, right? So that is why it is horizontal, and the first one was vertical. So correct answer is option ID 3. Next question. Principle of management are important and useful on the count of the following reason. Again, it is a very generic question, right? So to increase managerial efficiency, yes. To attain social objective, partially yes. To train managers, yes. To improve research, definitely. To coordinate material and human resources. Okay, so based on the options, you can easily get the answer. Then option ID 4 is the right answer, which are all of the useful reasons. Okay, next question is, there is a list one which provides organizational designs. There are 4 types of organizational designs, and there is features. Okay, if you are aware of the exact meaning of these 4 words, then this question is very doable. So learning organization is what? That can continually change structure and internal processes, okay, with the effect of feedback. Spaghetti organization is one which is flexible in structure, right? So fishnet organization is what? It is flexible as well as adaptable, rearrange itself quickly while retaining its inherent strength. Network structure is what? Linking of separate parts of the same organizations or networking of separate organization to accomplish a common goal. So the correct answer is A is 3, B is 1, C is 4, and then D is 2. Okay, so the correct answer is option ID 2. Now, which one of the following is true for consumers? Okay, again, generic question. So consumers are rational and think in a linear manner. Okay, we will come to that. Cultures and societies have relationship to consumer thoughts and feelings. Yes. Consumers can be motivated to believe and internalize messages the way marketer desires. No, this is incorrect. We believe that customers are our supreme body. They will tell what to produce. Consumers can explain their thought and behavior. No, this is also incorrect. So obviously, when we are choosing from 1 and 2, 2 is more appropriate, and therefore it is the correct answer. Next question says the right of the consumer as enunciated under Section 6 of Consumer Protection Act 1986 includes. So in the Section 6, there are 6 types of rights, and if you are aware of that rights, you can easily do that question. So option A, C, and E are actually the rights that are provided. And again, if you see option B and statement D, you can easily find out that B cannot be the right answer. To be assured the competitive price and low cost quality. Why we want to be assured of low cost quality product? Then again for the D, to be protected for multiple use of products, profit, diversity, and equity. Again, this is very non-related statement. So A, C, and E is the correct answer.